Hello there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and I have been wanting to make this treat holder for ages. Maybe not ages, sometime. I got these plant power mix bags. It was like a box of, I'm gonna say 20 or 24. I live in Canada, so I got these at Shoppers Drug Mart. It says they are from Basset Nuts in Laval, Quebec. So I'm not sure if you can get them where you are, but it's just a little 28-gram bag of trail mix. So I kind of modified this from a bingo pillow gift that I did, and I'm not going to share it with you today. I'm so sorry, because I'm planning on sharing it soon in a different video that is holiday themed, not squirrel themed. So as soon as I saw these, like almonds and craisins and pumpkin seeds, I knew I had to use the Nuts About Squirrels. So I finally did it. I made this sample and I don't love it. I feel like the DSP detracts too much from the squirrel. So I'm gonna do something a little bit different, because what are samples for? That's where you experiment, right? But this, right now, it's like all kinds of glued in there, which I realize isn't great when you're trying to get it out. But I mean, these would make, I don't know if you can give nuts where you are for trick-or-treating. I know I have a son with a tree nut allergy, so this would be a no-go, but it is in there pretty darn good. So it's not like you're just gonna slide it out there. This arm really only is to cover part of the bag that I didn't like. But it's funny because this gluten-free sign actually matches with all the blue in this paper. This is the Beauty of the Earth DSP, I think. I don't know. I've got like fumes left of it. There's barely any. But I thought we are going to do something a little different. So we'll get rid of those pieces of DSP. So what you need to make this, if your bag is the same size as mine, this is 3 1/8 by 6 7/8. I'm sure you can't see that. It's Cajun Craze with pencil. So 3 1/8 by 6 7/8. You're going to score at one end at 1 inch and the other end at 1/2 inch. Now you can do that, or I think that's the easier way, like 1 inch on one end, 1/2 inch on the other, or you can score it at 1/2 inch and then 5 7/8. But I found it easier to just turn it and score it. So this time, these are just some circle. This was a 2 1/4 inch circle that had a tiny little cut in it, but I thought, you'll never notice, right? Now I've told you. And then one of the scallop circles, which matches with the 2 inch circle. And then we've got this little strip, which will be the band to kind of keep it all in there. Now I thought it would be super cute to stamp the nuts and leaves on here, except it has a squirrel hand in it, which is fine. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what about banner year? It's got a squirrel, it's got a nut. There was something else in here. It's got this little leaf and this little leaf. So, I mean, I'm gonna mount them all on one block and just stamp all over this. Now, you will notice there's nothing on the back of this one. Kind of boring, right? We can't have that. So we are gonna stamp all over this thing. So let me grab this weird looking squirrel. I know he's weird. We could put one of these ones, but they're so big. Okay, so we've got our little nut. We could use the leaf from that one, but it is a 2-step stamp. And I don't know about you, but I don't use my banner year nearly enough. Okay, so I think that's all we need. We could put a heart, but we could also put happy fall, y'all. A treat so sweet. Lots of cute things in there. I don't use that enough, I will tell you again. Okay, so let's just put these randomly on here. No right or wrong. Although I might move that squirrel up just a little bit. Let's do it this way. And then we're gonna do some tone-on-tone stamping. So we'll use Cajun Craze on Cajun Craze. Truth be told, this is not a color that I reach for very often, but it worked so well with this. There are a couple of colors. Bumblebee would have looked great. I think that might be Mary Merlot. Cherry Cobbler would work. So many, like you could use almost Granny Apple Green or Old Olive for those, but I thought, you know what? Let's give Cajun Craze some love. Okay, so I just did that one over there because I don't want to have part of a squirrel on the front, although that may end up being what happens. Okay, so now we're just going to turn them. The one thing you don't want to do when you're repeat stamping like this is have the same image, like boom, 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 boom. You don't want it to be predictable. So you can turn your stamp, you can turn your cardstock, totally up to you. Kind of looks like a feral squirrel, doesn't it? I suppose they all are. See, now I'm going too, I need to turn it. It's getting to be too predictable. Now I've got two leaves together. Meh. Doesn't need to be perfect though, right? As I tell myself that. That was completely for my purposes, not yours. And then let's have this squirrel on there one time. He's going to be upside down. Okay, so we can add a couple more little things here and there just to make sure it doesn't look like we've missed it. There we go. I always like to stamp off the page. So we need our Cajun Craze out because we still need to stamp our squirrel. So I'm going to stamp it in Memento first and then in Cajun Craze. And unfortunately, this color does stain a little bit, which sucks, I know. It'll leave you a nice little pink. But if you are lucky enough to have one of these stamp cleaning pads, which Stampin' Up! No longer carries, I really wish they did, but they don't. I'm not sure if other companies have it, but it does remove a lot of the staining. You have to be gentle because it can start to pill quite easily. But if you have something like that and you've just recently bought it, please drop me a comment and let me know where you got it. Like, look at that. They're no longer pink. Isn't that amazing? Like, why would we ever not want that? Apparently, the company that Stampin' Up! Was getting it from went out of business, so that was why they stopped carrying it, but someone needs to develop something like that. Like, look, a tinge of pink. Okay, I can handle that. But the neon pink that it was before, no thank you. Now, we will take our notched little circle and some Memento. I'd like to stamp the other one, but it's facing the wrong direction and it's not carrying a nut. This one has already gotten into the trail mix and loving it. And I thought about using the sentiment Nuts About You, but it just wasn't working. It was just one more thing and it kind of took away from the background, and I don't know. Anxious to see how this one turns out with the stamping versus the DSP. It was very busy, but these bags have been sitting there taunting me for months, I'm gonna say. At least 2 months. Okay, so now we will get our filler. And you can see this one was used with Cajun Craze and I didn't clean it, so that's what we're left with. And this one is a little tricky to line up for a two-step stamp, especially when you're not standing right over it. I'm so sorry, but I have to move this where I can see it. There are a couple of key pieces that will help you line it up pretty well. So if you line up those feet and the ears and then up, I went out of the edge there, but there are a couple of key places that will help you get better alignment. So always keep an eye out for those little pieces. So I am going to use Crumb Cake and show you that you can be lazy like me and just take out the one color and get all that you need. I did use soft suede on the first one, but if we keep going over it, just having Crumb Cake will be enough. Now with this, remember I said there was a little hand? Oh, my hands are all kinds of colors, aren't they? That will help you landmark. And if you don't get it right in the right place, that's okay. Just go over it again. And again, I'm not standing where I normally would be. I don't want to ink that up again. Look at his cute little hand. Okay, and then we'll grab the top, and we're going to stamp this one at least 3 times. Because right now, we've only done the bottom twice. One more for good measure. So you don't even need to have like soft suede or early espresso out for that. Or maybe you've just recently discovered Stampin' Up and you don't have all the colors. Use what you have. So we'll add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of the circle. Get rid of the snot dot. That's more than enough. I have a fear of things falling apart. Maybe that's because the medicine cabinet in my bathroom just came out of the wall. My son was going to get something and it literally just came off the wall. Everything came crashing out. Okay, so we can see a little bit of it, but on the back, which I just realized I stamped all the squirrels upside down because this is actually the top. We don't want to switch it around because this covers very little of the top and then too much of the bottom. So just make sure you stamp it the right way. We're nuts about you, right? So we did everything upside down. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So I'm going to use some tear and tape along the bottom edge of that score line. I'm going to use some here, and this is what's going to keep this package in the package. Now, it's probably a little extra to put it on the front and back, but I'm extra. I'll admit it. Like I said, I have a fear of things coming apart. Now, I don't want that to be quite so far over. So I'm just going to cut it off. And I always find the best way to get that release paper off is to give it a little burnish and then go from the side. Even if you haven't given it much of a burnish, going from the side is still the recommended method. So now let's place these in here. Sorry for the plastic crinkle. Stretch it out so that it reaches in the bottom, and you're gonna have to curl it just a little bit to get it to go where you want. Okay, and now that I've taken a lot of the stick off of that, there we go. And really all this is for is to have some place to put the squirrel, and I wanted to cover the blue. So this is 1 by 5, and you can use any banner punch that you have. I don't even remember what this one's called, but it will be linked in the supplies below. Now, when you are using one of the banner punches, you have to be just a smidge under either 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or 1 inch. That's why it wasn't fitting in there. Just a smidge, like a 1/16 of an inch or less. Okay, so put it in there. Make sure that it's even on both sides. There we go. Do that again. I do find it hard to kind of thread it without looking. Okay, so line it up. Make sure you've got about the same on both sides. If it goes over too far on one side, you end up missing one of those and it looks kind of funny. So we could stamp more of the images, but I've already put them away and cleaned them, so I'm not gonna. And now we will put a little bit of liquid glue at either end. Gives us that couple of seconds of wiggle room. And you might have to hold this for a little bit because it is liquid glue. Anyone have a story? And I just love that there's a squirrel on there. I didn't notice that until I actually started making this sample, but I immediately thought squirrels when I saw trail mix. And then what we're going to do, I actually put this a little bit closer to the edge on this one, but what we want to do is cover the words. At least I did. So another little bit of liquid glue. We want it only on this part, so turn it and just put the glue where you need it. I don't know how I got that glue on there, but whatevs. It would have looked cute with that extra stamping, but I didn't think of it. And that's all. So if you create this, I would love to see it. If you find a way to get a label on there so that it looks awesome, let me know, because I just felt like it was going to be that one extra thing and it was just going to push it over the top. So I thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm just going to say my spiel as I hold this and let it dry. I thank you so much for joining me this week. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would love for you to do so. You'll catch a new video each and every week. And on some weeks, like last week, look at all that ink, you'll get 2, because there's at least 1 week of the month, the 3rd week of the month, where I will have 2 videos, you will have 2 videos, we'll all have 2 videos. So thank you, and if you need the supplies to make this or any other project using Stampin' Up! Product, and you live in Canada and are not yet working with a demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. Thank you, and have a great week.